The Knicks are up one with 5 minutes to go in the second half. But most of what we're going to talk about tonight is the New York Jets schedule, which is now officially official. So we'll go through it game by game, give our reaction, give our thoughts, look at the whole big picture. And our falls have been decided, PK. What is your preliminary thoughts looking at this rundown?
So, I mean, I hate to like start it out like this, but like I don't know. It kind of like with everything else, like not too high, not too low. It is what it is. Like we don't really know what this looks like until the schedule gets going, and we know what teams are good. We know what teams are bad. Like, could Buffalo Week 18 be hard? Yeah. Are they sitting everybody though? I don't know. Like, are we facing somebody who's got an injury halfway through the season? Maybe. Is Aaron Rodgers playing for the Steelers? Is he not playing for the Steelers? So there's still so many variables that it's tough for me to sit here and say like I hate it or I love it. I think the early returns from Jets fans that we see are like, I don't like it. But
Aaron Glenn's going to be fired after 4 games. You mean that's premature?
Yeah, Twitter was a war zone today. So I always try to like not get too high or not get too low with any of these things, and I don't think that there's any credence to like if he doesn't start out, if he starts out 3-8, like he's gone at the end of the season. Like, come on. After everything you've seen about what we're doing here and how he's trying to rebuild the thing. And especially, I know it's like state media propaganda, but like if anybody watched the offseason, the 3 episodes that the Jets put out on YouTube last night.
They featured a lot of talented podcasters in that docuseries. I heard some familiar voices out there.
It was very fan media heavy, I'll say. But I think that the real take-home message of that three episode series was like that the culture change is for real this time. And I know you're probably tired of hearing that, but it feels like it's for real. So to say that they're going to abandon that after a couple rough stretches during a season is just like, I can't get with that, man. So I'm not even entertaining that kind of Twitter noise right now. Like I'm not even going to engage in it.
Yeah, it's so we all know, we know this. It's so premature. We don't know what the character of these games ends up being, who gets hurt, how the flow goes, but Aaron Glenn will get a season, more than a season. So let's calm down. Let's take a deep breath. Also, I just have to say one more time, what do you think Todd McShay feels like having his quotes sandwiched between like me and Meigs and you? It's like Meigs, McShay, PK, and the rest of the Badlands crew.
I think McShay should be honored to be among such company.
He should be honored. So, of course, we get – I'll tell you this. I like opening at home back-to-back weeks. I like staying on the East Coast the first 5 weeks of the season before having to go to London town, which we're excited about. You got Pittsburgh at home week 1. This is all going to be about Aaron Rodgers. We don't know if he's going to play or not yet. That feels like 60-40 he plays. Of course, that will dominate the entire discourse if he does. If he doesn't, Mason Rudolph at home week 1. I like that for us. Pittsburgh, even with Rodgers, they have their flaws. They're a well-coached team. They're about 500 every year. They're a tough team. It's not like they're playing Kansas City or Philadelphia week 1. I'm sure the Jets will be 3-point underdogs at home. Pittsburgh's a national team. If they have Rodgers, maybe that number is higher. But, man, that's going to be a fun game to go to, dare I say. Like, get there early, nice weather, tailgate all day, not have to stress all day about it, not be in the national spot. I won't act like I don't hate getting Buffalo early, week 2 at home, but at least it's home. You're not up there. The Jets will be big underdogs in that game, as they should. And then it's going to be a recurring theme, right? They're going to be underdogs a lot this year until we get to the back half of the schedule maybe, and that's okay because you have to prove it. You go at Tampa, at Miami. You staying in Florida. That's light travel. Tampa's a good team. Miami, Monday Night Football, the early Monday Night Football slot. Thank God, 7:15. Not too late. Winnable, an important game for Aaron Glenn. We talked about this before. Can you outcoach that staff? Can you show signs of being able to outcoach that staff? We don't know how good Miami's going to be. That feels like kind of an early inflection game. And then Shoddy back at MetLife at home. So your first 5 pre-London are home Pittsburgh, home Buffalo, at Tampa, at Miami, home Dallas. So you got 3 playoff teams from last year, if we're counting Pittsburgh as a playoff team. They were like that Fugazi 7 seed, but you got to count it, I guess. Tampa legit, Buffalo legit. Miami and Dallas were not there last year. We'll see what the expectations are. So I don't know. It's not easy, but I like staying on the East Coast. And Can you be 2-3 before London? That's kind of where my head goes to. What are your thoughts on the first 5? You've got the mute going.
There we go.
You're that excited about the first 5.
I just wanted to prevent myself from yelling about the Knicks while you were talking. But no, I first of all, I like the amount of 1 p.m. games. Across, and that's not just the first 5. That's across the whole schedule. The week 4, 7:15. So I'm assuming that's the Monday night double bill where they'll do 2 games on a Monday night. That one's a little weird, but overall, it's nice to get out of the national TV spotlight at first a little bit. As far as week 1 against the Steelers, like obviously the NFL is dying for Aaron Rodgers to be in Pittsburgh. Like that's a major storyline matchup there. Historically, I think they've been like okay against Pittsburgh for as good as that franchise is and as bad as the Jets have been. Like they've always kind of played Pittsburgh okay, and some pretty memorable games, whether it's the Curtis Martin in the snow or the playoff games, the Brian missing field goals, coming up short.
Jason Taylor's safety game in Pittsburgh. Now Mason Taylor starting at tight end.
Antonio Brown getting the first down in the AFC champ or in the playoffs there. So like a lot of good games historically against the Steelers. That's a storyline game. I'm good with that one. I can't imagine the Steelers are very good this year with what's going on there. It's still Tomlin, so you still have to worry about it, but it's whatever. I actually disagree with you on getting Buffalo early. I like getting good teams at the beginning of the season before they get in a rhythm. I think that's the best time that you could pop them and surprise them a little bit. Nobody knows who the Jets are yet. And when the Jets play the Bills in week 2, there's going to be several years of tape on Buffalo, and there's going to be 1 week of tape on the Jets, right?
Yep.
So as far as getting Buffalo, that for me is a great time to get them, especially at home, 1 o'clock, not national TV. So I like that spot against Buffalo. We always get a tough divisional game early. It used to be the Patriots every single year when they were good. Now it feels like we're getting Buffalo early every year. So I'm good with that. At Tampa, I mean, whatever. Tampa's a good team. Todd Bowles' revenge game. Let's it's Baker.
They're always good for like a random stinker or two. And we know Bowles is good for that too. Like they'll be likely favorites in that game, but I like Baker a lot, and actually, I probably like Bowles more than most Jet fans. But both of them are good for like a random stinker here or there. There'll be a lot of Jet fans at that game too.
100%. And every time we play in Tampa, I think of 2 games. I think of Curtis Martin throwing a touchdown pass to Wayne Corbett.
Yep.
When Keyshawn Johnson was on the Buccaneers.
Flashlight game.
And I also think of Revis when he went to Tampa. We opened up the season with Geno against Revis in Tampa, I believe. And so I always think of those 2 games when I think of Tampa. And whatever, it's like it's an NFC matchup. It's a weird matchup. We don't play them a whole ton, so that'll be interesting. And then Miami, weird Monday night game in Dallas. Like who knows what Dallas is at this point? There's a lot of ex-Jet coaches in the first bundle of games here that or ex-Jets in general, right? Like if it's Aaron Rodgers week 1, and then we get Buffalo, then we have Todd Bowles, then we have Miami, and then we have Brian Schottenheimer in week 5. So a lot of kind of like weird Jet energy throughout the first 5 weeks here.
So after that, we're off to London town. I know you and I are planning to go. We'll have more details on that down the road. I'm excited. I'm very annoyed with myself that I've missed these first 3 games. Denver, not a terrible matchup. Our boy Bo Nix, our boy Sean Payton, Muji revenge game. Be interesting. Former playoff team that will have high expectations this year. Anything happens in these games. I, again, for the life of me, don't understand why the Jets can't get a bye week after their London game, but at least they're coming home to play Carolina, which on paper is one of their easier games on schedule. At Cincinnati, which is kind of a pain in the ass to squeeze in right before the bye week, which comes in week 9, and then post bye week, home for Cleveland. So, all right, I'm tracing it along. We're 2-3. Who knows what happens in London? You split with Carolina and Cincy. You have a bye week. Cleveland, like home for Cleveland feels like you could be favorites in that game. I don't know what the hell Cleveland's going to be doing at quarterback. It's not. I kind of like this stretch for them because I don't mind being the underdog in London. Those games, like I said, could be screwy, and we'll see. It feels just like a lot of early home games. I feel like we're loaded up with like a lot of MetLife Stadium in the first 10 weeks of the season, which, please God, don't let it rain. Like, give us some nice weather. But, Cleveland, Carolina, all sort of in that first half-ish of the year. So what do you think of this next stretch in Denver being the matchup when they get to London?
Have the Jets ever won in London? Are they 1-2 or are they 0-3?
They beat Miami in 2015 with Revis had an
Right.
interception to ice the game with like Fitzpatrick and Brandon Marshall. Then they lost to Atlanta with Zach Wilson. They laid a turd after beating the Titans. Then, of course, last year, a game that they really should have won, but Rodgers just missed Garrett Wilson wide open for the game-winning touchdown. I'm watching the Knicks close the half here. 59-59. Come on, JB. Give that foul to...
Yeah, so I couldn't remember if they had snuck the first one. I knew they lost the last two. You're right. That's a wacky game. You can kind of throw out everything. I will say from a general standpoint, when a team surprises like Denver did last year, I feel like generally like the year afterward, when the expectations come, the team rarely lives up to them. And it's Sean Payton, right? This is a real NFL coach who's been around a long time and he knows what he's doing. So I'm not saying that the Broncos are going to stink this year. I just think that they're faced a little bit more adversity this year because they're not going to surprise anybody.
Yep.
And everybody now has a year of film on Bo Nix in the NFL, right? Which is like, I am still on the Bo Nix is not good hill. And I think now that there's a year of film under the belt, and I know that Peyton does everything he can to maximize Bo Nix's talents, but like, guy can't really throw the ball down the field. And I think that Aaron Glenn finds a way to get after that quarterback, right? And so I'm not terribly worried about that game. Again, it's London, so things could get wacky, but I feel okay about that one. Carolina, I'd actually be more worried about Carolina than I would about Denver. And I know that sounds weird, but based on what I think about Bo Nix overall, and I think that they'll struggle in the next year, and the way Bryce Young kind of started to look towards the end of the year, it started to feel like he got a little bit of confidence there. Yeah. And it's going to be year 2 of that coach, and they did some okay drafting and all that stuff. Like, that's a game that I could see the Jets potentially being favored in and dropping. That's one that I would worry about. So I'd be happy to split those two games. Cincinnati's a tough game. Like, Cincinnati's a game
at Cincy, not fun.
Yeah, at Cincy, coming off a pretty rough stretch where you're in London and then you're at home against Carolina and then you're traveling to Cincy before the bye. Everybody's looking forward to the bye week, looking to get out of there.
That feels like Joe Burrow and it's 17-0 Bengals 8 minutes into the game. And we're like, fuck, let's just get on to the bye week. That's energy I feel.
Yeah. And that's the type where you're going to see, I feel like that's very much you'll see what Aaron Glenn is made of game, because if they can be contending in that game with all of those things that we just mentioned swirling around them, the bye week's coming up, you're just coming off a tough stretch, you've been traveling a lot, all that stuff. You're playing Joe Burrow, you're playing a really good Bengals team, presuming that the Bengals don't vomit all over themselves like they have the previous few seasons in the early part of the season. Week 8 is usually about the time that the Bengals are snapping it into shape and they're starting to hit their groove. So assuming that the Bengals are playing well at that point, if the Jets can keep that one close and Aaron Glenn can make them look like a real team against the Bengals going into the bye week, that's one that, like, if they lose close, you're like, okay. We're in good shape. We just hung with a really good team. And I know that that's a little bit of like copium, and it's stuff we've been doing to ourselves for a long time of talking ourselves into feeling good about losses. But I think that'll be a true test of like, are we really getting different coaching this time? And I believe, and I've said many times, I believe that we are, right? And so that truly will be one that I think you can walk out of feeling okay about.
Well, some breaking news. The Jets are playing the Eagles in preseason the night we have our live show planned. So we have that wrinkle to deal with now. Not a bad thing, just calling it out. Someone just sent that information over to us. That would be the second preseason game, I would assume.
No, that's the third. The first one is at Green Bay on the 9th, which is a Saturday.
Yep.
The second is the Giants on a Saturday at 7. And the third is week 3, Friday, 8/22, 7:30. I will say that no contracts are signed yet.
If you're gonna go watch Adrian Martinez and Brady Cook instead, we can have that conversation. Now, post Cleveland, we have at New England, Thursday Night Football, second primetime game. This felt like an inevitable primetime game at some point, the Thursday nighter where they get the in-division game. At Baltimore, fun, easy trip, but kind of sucks. Don't want to be playing at Baltimore when they're definitely still going to be like playing for the 1 seed and in it. Home for Atlanta, home for Miami. Like those back-to-back games for the Jets. Important stretch. Then at Jacksonville and at New Orleans. This is going to be, I'm going to fast forward, and I was joking with Connor about this before. I could already see us in August, maybe at the live show, being like, they're probably going to start like 3-7, and then they're going to hit this stretch and they're going to win like 4 or 5 and like close the year strong. Now, we know it never always works out that way on paper, right? But on paper, home Atlanta, home Miami, at Jacksonville, at New Orleans, home New England, that stretch, that's where by that point of the season, Jermaine Johnson's healthy. Tanner Engstrom has called a bunch of games. Aaron Glenn's been a head coach for a bit. Membu's comfortable. Mason Taylor's comfortable. That's where you should be looking. Can we win 4 or 5? Can we beat New England at home? Can we beat Miami at home? Before you got to the end with the every year at Buffalo week 18 game where Buffalo is probably resting people or whatever. I don't even want to think about that game. Maybe we need that game for the 7th seed. But that stretch, to me, that's going to be fascinating because by then, like a lot of the rookie excuses go away, like the rookie head coach, the rookie offensive coordinator, rookie right tackle, rookie tight end. Now you've got some games under your belt and you're playing teams like that. Even if some of these teams overachieve, like, maybe Atlanta and Jacksonville are better than people expect, you should be able to hang with those teams. And when you're playing them at home and Atlanta's coming into your building, like, I don't think it's crazy to have some expectations around them. So I like that stretch on paper. It's on paper. But what are your thoughts there on that final 5 before Buffalo?
So Cleveland's weird. You kind of, are we jumping ahead to, so we're going to Atlanta, Miami, Jacksonville, New Orleans, New England. Let me talk about the ones before that first. Cleveland's weird. I could see Cleveland being in complete disarray this year. Obviously, like that's not a revolutionary thought there or anything. New England, like you said, Baltimore, like you said, I don't know if I have anything clever to add there other than it's the Brandon Stevens revenge game. So we'll see what position he's playing by the time we get to week 12 and we go to Baltimore. Atlanta, I mean, what is Michael Penix? Is he good? I know Connor loved him coming out of college. I liked him a lot, other than the fact that he's a lefty. I don't like looking at lefty quarterbacks. I think the motion looks weird. Tua stinks. I generally don't love lefties. So we'll see what Atlanta's like. Like you said, by the time we get to that Miami, Jacksonville, New Orleans, New England stretch, everybody should be kind of settled in and ready to go. And these are franchises here, Atlanta, Miami, Jacksonville, New Orleans, New England, that all have like serious, massive questions around them, right? You're dealing with a lot of either young quarterbacks or quarterbacks who have not lived up to what they should have been, or kind of no quarterback at all, no situation to speak of, like in New Orleans. And so, yeah, no, I feel good about the way it ends. But again, to go back to what I said at the beginning, like, we really don't know. Like, could one of these teams be a surprise team this year? Could Atlanta be really good in, the second or third year of Raheem Morris, whatever it is down there? And maybe they finally figured out how to use Kyle Pitts correctly. And Penix is really good. And Bijan Robinson finally has his career year. Like, all those things could happen. So one of these teams could surprise us. Maybe Trevor Lawrence finally figures it out in Jacksonville and they finally get things turned around and moving in the right direction there with Travis Hunter and everything they've added. So tough to say, but I do like the stretch coming down at the end there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to take a bigger step back and look at like some of the travel patterns and when the break is. Most people, the order of the games should not be changing your record prediction dramatically. Although I feel like some people have like swung either too low or too high off this. I still look at this. I'm not changing my tune now. We batted this back and forth in the recent pods. Feels like a 7-ish win team. Maybe you get to 8 or 9. The fields and the specials are better than you expect. Maybe it's 5 or 6 if they worse than you expect. I think getting back to being just, we play at 1:00 all the time. We don't have this funky like game on Monday night followed by a game on Sunday night. I like that. Again, I like concentrated to the East Coast the first 5 weeks pre-London. Even down the stretch, like you come out of the bye week, you're home, you're in New England, you're in Baltimore, home for Atlanta, home for Miami, at Jacksonville. Like that's all like easy travel. But for your New Orleans trip, which late in the season, Jet fans going to New Orleans, if that game has any meaning, that would be quite a party to go to. And a game that, one of the few teams on the schedule, I would say that unquestionably, I think the Jets should be better than. You could kind of debate almost everybody else. We're Jet fans. We're going to I'm going to skew to it and say that I don't think it's crazy to think the Jets can be 2-4 or 3-3 in the AFC East. And, when I look at New Orleans, Atlanta, Jacksonville, Carolina, can you go 2-2 there? You're 5-5. For the remaining games, that's where it's going to come down to. Like, are you good enough to steal a game from Pittsburgh week 1? Can you, I guess upset Dallas, even though I don't think expectations for Dallas may not be that high. That's going to determine whether this is the 2006, 2013-ish Jets in some ways, who were 10-6 and 8-8 respectively, or even the 2022 Jets who were 7-4 before the bottom fell out. We don't want to see that happen, but you're going to win 7-8 games. Take advantage of the lighter travel, take advantage of the concentration of games that are always at 1:00, and the back half of the schedule, man. Like, if it stays the way we expect it to now, that is the time to make a run and be like, we showed some real progress down the stretch here, and maybe, who the hell knows, you make a run at the 7 seed. Now, looking at all this from
if you'll indulge me for a second.
Yes.
I'm one who likes to bring up things that happened in the past and try to like draw some magic, and I talk about curses and I talk about things like that, right? So wouldn't it be pretty fitting if the playoff drought rather ends in Buffalo? Like, I feel like Kenbrell Tompkins should be at the game.
He should.
Because for a long time, the Jets had this weird tendency where the first year of every new head coach was wildly successful for like a long time. And that ended kind of with Bowles, is where it shook a little bit because Kenbrell Tompkins dropped the pass in Buffalo. They don't make the playoffs. And then Gase, obviously, and Saleh, obviously, it didn't continue, right? But we're kind of reaching back in time now with Aaron Glenn. We have a guy from that era who was part of those teams who were always winning with the first year of a head coach. And our last game's in Buffalo. Maybe Buffalo's resting some guys. Maybe we have a quarterback, wearing number 7. I know Geno didn't play in that game, but he was on the roster. But we have a quarterback wearing number 7. I'm trying to put some of these things together and do some wish casting here. And who knows, man? Maybe they're sneaky, and maybe they have a shot in Buffalo week 18. All you can really ask for is a shot at this point with what the team's been through the last several years and the roster that's there right now. Like, if they have a shot and they come out in Buffalo in week 18, potentially in the snow or something, with their hair on fire, and they are scratching and clawing to make the playoffs, like, that's a fun situation, right? And if they end up not making it, you can almost walk away feeling okay about it. But hey, maybe there's some breadcrumbs here where something funny can happen in Buffalo.
I like the optimist take. It's good for us to have an optimist take. Before we close, I'm going to totally cleanse my brain and try to be as Mike and the Mad Dog objective as possible. I'm looking at this fresh. I'm just a general NFL fan. I'm wearing the Rob Lowe NFL hat. You read me the games, and I'm just going to give you my quick reaction, win or loss.
Week 1, Steelers.
I'm going to say loss.
Week 2, Bills. At home.
Loss.
Week 3, at Tampa Bay.
Upset win, 1-2.
Week 4, Monday, Dolphins. At Miami.
I will say loss.
All right, so we're 1-3 right now.
Yes.
Week 5, Dallas at home, 1:00.
Shoddy craps the bed, win, 2-3.
Denver, London.
We marvel at how well Aaron Glenn had these guys ready to play. They catch Denver sleeping, 3-3.
Week 7, home, Carolina, 1:00.
We get excited. They lay an egg at home against Carolina, 3-4.
Week 8, at Cincinnati, 1:00.
They get blown out, and we get real mad, and we're having meltdowns mid-year if anything has really changed here.
Coming out of the bye, the Jets are historically bad out of the bye. Coming out of the bye, home against Cleveland, 1:00.
They beat the crap out of Cleveland. We feel better. We're like, look now, actually we were wrong. Everything's changed. So let us seesaw back the other way. 4-5.
Thursday night, prime time, New England, at New England.
They lose a brutally close game where they don't execute late and drop to 4-6, and we're just devastated.
Week 12 at Baltimore, Sunday, 1:00.
They lose. They're scrappier than we expect, but they lose 4-7. And now it's like, oh, the season's probably over, but let's see what happens down the stretch. Do we want to win? Do we want to lose?
Week 13, Atlanta Falcons, home, 1:00.
Win. Defense plays great. They win like 19-10.
Week 14, Miami at home, 1:00.
This is the game they catch Miami sleeping. They're ready to adjust from the first game. They win. They're back to 6-7. Everyone's going nuts. Oh my God, can we make?
We're knocking on the door of 500.
Knocking
Week 15 at Jacksonville, 1:00.
This is where you get the painful loss. Trevor Lawrence plays better than you expect. Jet fans are down there. There's a lot of Jet fans there. Could get back to 500. It's a good game, but they end up losing late, 6-8. Travis Hunter makes a huge play late. Just rips our heart out.
Week 16 at New Orleans, 1:00.
They blow them out, and Jet fans get to have a fun time partying in Mardi Gras, and Kellen Moore is fired after 1 year.
Week 17, home, New England, 1:00.
They win this game. Get to 8-8. They catch New England sleeping a little bit. Shitty weather. New England is like a game ahead of them in the schedule.
Okay, so week 8, we get flexed into the Sunday Night Football NBC game because we have a chance to go to the playoffs, and Buffalo has a chance to clinch the 1 seed. Both teams are playing for something. It's a national game. We got Chris Collinsworth. Sunday night at Buffalo in the snow, week 18.
Yeah. If Buffalo has something to play for, the Jets get up like 7-6 early or something, and then Buffalo just puts their foot on the gas and puts them out of their misery, and they lose like 24-13, and we're like, you know what? We were playing for something week 18, and we're 8-9, and next year's the year they make the playoffs. So that was my fully off the cuff 17 games, 8-9. Maybe too optimistic ultimately.
Who knows? I'll play the devil's advocate here, and I say they win at Buffalo week 18, and they're 9-8, and they sneak in.
And then they play Buffalo again the next week at like plus 9.5, and they lose like 47-6 or something. But it's like we made the playoffs. The streak's broken.
Hey, that's all that matters this year, right?
I would absolutely take that. So, all right, schedule takes. We learned that there is a preseason game the night of the live show, so we'll have to offline about that and figure out what that means. We're going to release this on the Patreon feed if you want to listen to it as audio or VOD. We're going to have a new Buck the Trend on the feed tomorrow morning. We're going to have a new TOJ pod on the feed in the afternoon. We're going to have another Film Room Friday. The feed is very crowded. Let's go Knicks. Finish off the goddamn Celtics. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Drop your predictions in the comments section, and we will talk to you soon.